Tane, when are you opening your photography account on Instagram? Post images.
Well, you're being serious.
Everyone's got it.
Oh, you mean everyone's got it.
Hello, we are Fine Wit, and welcome to our new and very first podcast. And this is 3 Eggs Cracking Yolks.
Hello and welcome to the...
Hi, I'm Hewan.
And I am that second recording of the intro that Sam just played. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thanks for hosting me.
And I am Sam, and this is my first time doing this, as you can tell.
Pretty obvious.
Obviously, the intro is just too good. We have to play it a few times.
Well, that's why they had to get me in, because I really needed to embrace that second part of the intro.
Yes.
Because we've got audience feedback from it, and they said they really liked it.
Yes. This is our first podcast, and we've got audience feedback already. So, as you know, we have our guest on today, who is the
second recording of the intro.
The second recording of the podcast intro.
Only just the first few seconds of it, though.
So how do you feel about just being the first few seconds and not the entire intro?
Well, I think the first few seconds are the best part of it. And I think that's what the audience are really sticking around for.
I'm going to jump in here and have to agree, actually, because I wrote the piece. And I do think I did pretty good with those first few.
And I must say, whilst you were writing me, it was a lovely experience. Like I was on your lap, and it was like about 3 a.m.
Although I do feel like I have to jump in. While the first 3 seconds are quite like engaging, it's the final 3 seconds that really reminate with the audience as we say the title of the podcast.
Well, that really depends, because there's multiple layers to the final 3 seconds, because the final 3 seconds really has that other auditory layer of the voices coming in with the 3 eggs cracking yolks. And I think it's more pure and pensive and more...
It's really funny that
personal.
You're saying that, because actually live in the studio right now, we have the last 3 seconds of the podcast intro just waiting. So I'll go get him. I'll be back in a second.
And whilst we wait for the last 3 seconds of the podcast intro to come back, I just want to ask you, viewers, if you prefer the last...
Hello.
Here he is. Here is the last 3 seconds.
Hey, guys.
The last 3 seconds of
I'm the last 3 seconds of the podcast, of the podcast intro. I'm actually an E major chord.
E major.
An E major chord, yeah. I had to think about that, but I'm an E major chord.
Hey, the first 3 seconds. Wow, what chord are you?
Well, I really resonate with a flat minor diminished seventh, and
which isn't true, because it's an upright bass doing like a walking bass line.
Yeah, but it's just how I just feel like more attuned to that wavelength of.
It's funny you say that, because like as an E major chord, I've always felt I'm a bit more aligned with like a B major chord. You know, we're in the same key, but it's quite interesting actually.
No, I know what you mean, but I think what we're really here today is to discuss which part is really the best part of that intro that we had. And I think the fact that we chose to loop it and made that very deliberate decision at the start to keep those 3 seconds at the start playing again for a second time on the first podcast, I think that really speaks to how important the first 3 seconds are.
I would have said it's rather bold.
Yeah, it's bold. I'm not going to speak for anyone here, but Sam's not here because he had to head out for a sec. He didn't do that on purpose, I don't think. I was listening outside. I had my headphones on. I was listening because I knew I was coming in, because I was meant to be the guest, because I'm the most important part of the podcast in the last 3 seconds. You weren't meant to actually come in. You weren't actually meant to be in here in the studio today.
Well,
and I'm not trying to have debate. No, mate, I'm not trying to have debate. I'm just letting you know, as far as I know. No, as far as I know, that's the truth.
If I could please talk, why am I here then? Why would you bring me in if I'm not here to be the most important part of that intro?
I think, and I'll have to refer this to Hewan, because Hewan's the scheduler of this podcast. He schedules all the guests. I think he accidentally brought you in.
Hewan?
And accidentally scheduled you in.
Can you weigh in on this?
Now, I'm going to be honest. When we talk about the podcast intro, now, while this doesn't seem to be a deliberate thing, I did send out the invite to the first 3 seconds on purpose.
Oh, that
changes
everything. Was I also meant to be here?
Yes.
Wait.
So
who in the world is that? Is that the middle 3 seconds of the intro to the 3 Eggs podcast?
Hewan, do you want to go let him in?
Can you go get the 3 middle seconds? What do you think of this 3 middle seconds guy? I've always had mixed feelings.
Here's the thing, is he's always between us, so it feels like there's a bit of admiration because he's blocking me from attacking you, but there's also a bit of like, oh, people
really-
may pay attention to you, but
then
I'm not certain
you
about
really have to consider the fact that you're at the end, but
I am
when,
at the
when
end,
they
yeah.
play me again,
Yeah.
we're actually right next to each other.
Hey guys.
I
He's here.
suppose that's it. So sometimes, even though he's the 3 middle seconds, let's say the thing that happened was intentional, he's not always between us. He may actually be on the opposite ends.
He's kind of in a state of flux. He's
Yeah.
like, he could be, at the ends of us or in between
Because
us.
even though you're the first 3 seconds of the second time the
That is
intro
true.
played, and I'm the last 3 seconds of the first time the intro played, technically, you come first and I come last. And he's on the
Now,
on the ends.
middle 3 seconds, do you have
Yeah.
anything to...
I'd like to say this is a little bit of like a sibling paradox. Like,
You sound oddly like Ewan.
that is really suspicious how much you sound like Ewan.
yeah. So
and-
now I'd actually like to say that
Oh, that sounds different.
the middle 3 seconds, similar to siblings as the middle child, is often the most forgotten part of the intro.
And do you think you have experience with that, being the middle child?
Mate, I'm a song.
He's 3 seconds of a song.
You know, if you take the average between
Look-
the other two hosts in this podcast, Tane and Sam, if you average out their sibling placement, you do get the middle.
Look,
That is so true.
when we were
That is so
created,
true,
when
yeah.
we were all created on Sam's Lap at 3 a.m.
Yeah, this morning.
This morning, we were siblings. And I think it would just be important if you weighed in on that. Obviously, I being the oldest, I was made first, and then the E flat chord or what, however you
E major, but
I
I genuinely think
You
that
can
sometimes
swing.
I could be a B major.
No, I think that's
Depending,
a really,
it depends on the chord formation.
While being important, I'm also being talked over.
and I find that happens a lot.
I find
with
that happens a lot
siblings,
as well,
and I
yeah.
just I don't know where it
I don't
comes
think it's good
from,
enough.
but
I don't think it's
the
good enough.
talking over, especially in a podcast,
Especially because I feel like he has interesting things to say.
Well,
If he ever chimes in,
that
but
may be true, but I mean,
you know,
he is
it's
the middle
hard-
3 seconds. The
we don't
trouble
want it to
is-
feel like two
Look,
people having
Look,
a podcast.
with those
yeah.
middle 3 seconds, they do repeat. Like, let's be honest, you are a bit of a repetitive middle 3 seconds, and like, so you get the intro. Those first 3 seconds, they really grab you in. They grab you by the arms and they pull you into this.
But you're not the
podcast.
first 3 seconds. You're the first 3 seconds the second time it played. So you're not. What you're doing is, and I think this is brilliant. I actually think this is brilliant. You're not bringing people in. What you're doing is you're at the point where people think, oh, I've come in. I've come in and I've done this, and then you come in and say, but wait, there's more, or is there?
Well, so what you're saying is Tane the first 3 seconds played the second time being here with us today. He's actually an only child because he is only the first 3 seconds the second time it's played. And there is no second time it's played for any of the others.
Pretty much, yeah.
So he's an only child.
Whilst being an only child, I tend to think of myself more as a twin. As more of a second half, of the first 3
I would
seconds.
say you could be similar to like a cousin. You know, when you have like a group of siblings and then their cousin, they only have one cousin because something happened with the parents. Maybe they were infertile after that. Things happen. So that's sort of my thoughts on the. Oh, there's someone at the door. I think Sam and Ewan are back, and maybe they have a guest with it, another host with them. So we're gonna head out
We're gonna
now.
have to bail.
And we have to bail because we're actually not meant to be in
Okay.
here.
Just remember the second time those first 3 seconds were played. That was the best part of the song. That was the best part of the
middle
intro.
3 seconds, underrated.
I would argue that the last 3 seconds are second, because I do agree. Actually, the
Look,
first 3 seconds
I-
played the second time were pretty fun.
I think
pretty
we should.
Exciting.
I
It
think
was
we should
funny.
leave a note here for
Okay.
the others to discuss.
Okay, no, we actually got to get out.
Okay, I'm just gonna write
Okay.
them a little note.
Sorry,
All
wait.
right,
Go back.
Thank you for your time.
What are you guys doing in here? Get out! Get out! Get out! I'm leaving.
I'm sorry. No, I'm
Sorry, audience, get to
I'm sorry.
We'll be
Get
back.
out! Get out right now! This is our podcast.
Oh my. Okay, hey guys, sorry, it's Sam. I'm so sorry about that. They were not meant to be here. They were actually none of them were scheduled for today. None of them were scheduled for today.
Yeah, I realized I actually scheduled them for next week. I don't know how they got here
Ewan
so
misread
early.
that, which means we won't be doing that not next week, but in the fortnight.
They
We won't
took
be-
up their time.
They've taken up
and-
their time. And I would say that the only amount of time they should have taken up is 3 seconds each. The fact that they took up about 9 minutes is kind of crazy. They should have. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we actually haven't met our third host. This is Tane. He can introduce himself, though.
Yeah,
So this is Tane.
I was meant to be a guest,
Yeah,
But-
we've promoted him to.
but
He's now the third
I'm
egg.
now the
we
third
realized
egg.
because
well, the title is 3 eggs, and only having 2 of them, I'd say, that felt a bit weird.
it
to you
did feel
guys?
it did feel a bit
yeah,
weird.
a little bit
So
off.
Yeah.
you kind of thought you needed.
You
a
hear the
third-
intro and you expect 3 eggs to be
Yeah.
here.
So if you're still listening at this point, I'd just like to say that welcome to the 3 Eggs podcast. We are Fine Wit. We do comedy, not very well, and we do theatre. We're working on some shows at the moment, and we do film. And one of us does music, and I won't say who, but it's me. And we're happy to be here and doing this podcast.
Actually, just a note on that music bit. I've got a handwritten message that's been left here from me. I think from those cheeky guys that were just in the studio.
Yeah. Okay.
And it just asks us who we think the best 3 seconds of that intro were, and bearing in mind it does have a subnote here saying that the second time that intro played, those 3 initial seconds, the second time are included.
Before we really get into this,
And-
I'm going to be honest. The first 3 seconds and the last 3 seconds, pretty good. I don't actually remember what happened in the middle 3 seconds.
The middle 3 seconds goes very muddy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I composed the piece this morning at 3 a.m. And I would just like to say my favorite part, and it shouldn't matter, it's about the audience, but my favorite part, my favorite 3 seconds in the whole piece is actually just before the last 3 seconds. There's 3 seconds where it goes, it's an A chord, a B chord, and then it hits those last 3 seconds, which is the E major chord. I think that A, that B, I think that's really nice. It's duh, and then we hit that E major. That E major wouldn't hit in the same way without those.
And whilst I completely agree, just you talk all this jargon, you talk all this A flat major chord.
No, don't come at me like that,
Look,
mate.
you're 7th diminished. You just say
You don't know what
you're
you're talking
about.
about.
Do you have any accreditation in this field?
I'm out of here. No, sorry.
No.
If this-
I need
if
you to
this is-
answer me.
if this is
Now-
if this is how the podcast
Sam,
is
he
going to be
didn't
every
mean it.
time.
No,
if
look.
this is how I'm out of here. I'm
No,
out of here. I'm out.
I just wanted to know if you had any accreditations.
Tane.
What?
This always happens.
It does, doesn't it?
It
On our
does
first episode,
always
this
happen.
always happens. And you know what usually happens after...
Sorry to interrupt. We've got a knock at the door. Maybe we could use them as a third host.
Or a
Maybe he's just a
replacement
guest,
host.
just for the moment.
He's...
Could you please introduce yourself?
Oh, hello. I'm Evil Sam.
Oh, it's Evil Sam.
Evil Sam.
Yeah,
Evil
hi.
Sam.
I'm Evil Sam. I'm Sam,
So
but
you-
I'm evil.
Is your name Mass?
Mass? Oh, I've been known as a Mass in the past.
Is your name Massatab?
No. it's Evil Sam.
Backwards?
It's actually my name's just actually Evil Sam.
Oh, it's just Evil Sam.
It's Evil Sam.
It's Evil Sam.
Yeah, yeah.
And tell me a bit about yourself, Evil Sam. What do you do for work?
Oh, so I actually I don't work for money. I operate some charities that help people.
Quite
That feels
evil
very,
indeed.
Yeah, very disconnected.
Well, yeah, I'm
from
Evil
an
Sam.
Factor.
I'm
You
Evil
are
Sam.
Evil Sam.
Yeah.
I mean, that is something Sam would not do. Sam would not host
No,
any
he wouldn't.
charities.
No, he wouldn't.
No.
Because he's good Sam and I'm evil Sam.
But
So
it
I
does seem-
Right,
I
yeah.
do
Really
charities and I
valid
try
point.
to help as many people as I can.
Yeah, okay. And these charities, are they feeding hungry people? Are they for the trees?
Look,
What
mate,
are they
I'm going to
for?
be honest with you here. Name anything. I've probably helped out there with those charities.
Yeah, this is just so unlike normal Sam. He doesn't help with anything.
No, he
That's
doesn't.
See,
very
you
true.
try to get him to write a piece of music for the podcast that we're trying to do today, and he just ignores it.
Yeah.
He's really not helpful. But I think we could get this Evil Sam to make a podcast intro that is really, really engaging to the user.
Yeah, I probably
Evil
could,
Sam,
actually.
do you think you could do that for our next podcast?
I could probably do it right now.
Yeah, okay. I mean, whilst you whip that up, I'd just like to ask you, Hyun.
Oh, I just
Yeah,
finished.
I mean,
Wow.
Okay,
He's efficient.
he's very efficient.
And it'd be sort of something like, hey guys, love you all. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I am Evil Sam, and this is 3 Eggs cracking yolks and having a laugh with each other.
I think that's something truly wonderful. I think there's something to be unpacked there, in fact.
Yeah, it's like a box.
Well, it is a bit like a box because regular Sam, He's not like a boxer.
No, he writes jazz, and that's very scary.
He writes jazz, very discordant jazz. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, he really tends to try and play things over and over again. He gets repeats in there. And in fact, I think there was an intro to a podcast I heard he had recorded. And
Do you mind if I just say that you have a really lovely voice, and I think it's coming through very well.
look, I don't know how to feel about this, Ewan. Is he too nice?
It's
Has he
the
got an
evil in
agenda?
the name that's like really twisting
It's really
my
throwing me
perception on him. So let's just put this evil name to the test.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, sure.
Evil Sam.
Yes.
I'm assuming since you're evil,
Ooh.
you don't like your friends, do you?
Oh, how wrong you are, sir. I love my friends.
Really?
Yes, I adore my friends, actually. I would do anything for my friends. I would help them out. I would help them out in any situation.
And that's really subverting expectations.
You'd hope
And
so.
It really just goes to show that
Call me a plot twist the way I'm here to twist your plots.
you can't judge a book by its inner pages. You really have to look at it as
at its cover.
at
yeah.
its cover, at its face value.
It's like I'm looking at your cover right now, and you seem a bit guarded, a bit tense. I think we need to open you up, and look at the kindness inside you, if you don't mind me saying. Okay, so let's get to know you a bit. Let's see, because I'm evil, I'm going to ask you some pretty evil questions. How do you feel about puppies?
Look, puppies are a bit hit and miss. So I think what
Like you hit them with a car, or? I'd hope not. I'm evil Sam. I hate hitting puppies with cars. I love puppies.
well, I used to know this guy called Sam,
Yeah.
and just regular Sam,
Yeah.
and he often hit puppies with cars.
Well,
And
he tried not to.
It's
He
just-
tried not to miss them.
It was just
I guess
that
is the.
one time that
Yeah.
it just kind of slipped.
He just
and
happened. He
the steering
finally hit the
spindle
target. Yeah.
broke and yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it is a bit hit and miss. So some people
Speaking of hit and miss, your commentating is actually a little bit hit and miss. I don't want to insult you. I'm just trying to help you out here.
hit or miss. I just don't think that's the case, frankly.
I'm sorry.
And I'm
no,
sorry that you suggested
I'm
something
really
like
sorry
that.
that you've interpreted
Because
that as an
all I'm
insult.
trying to do is get this
Okay.
podcast running.
No,
and
I'm
the thing,
so sorry.
okay,
I'm
what you
so
need in a
sorry.
podcast is consistency.
I'm
You
so
can't
sorry.
have these
Please
lull
stay.
moments.
Tane, I don't
I'm
think
leaving.
Evil Sam
I'm
meant it.
leaving.
Please stay. Please stay.
I don't think
I'm-
Evil Sam meant it.
I'm so sorry. That was actually. I am so sorry.
We've just lost Tane.
I'm so
There is
sorry.
actually a knock at the door.
Oh, who is that?
I think we could replace our missing host, I
Yeah,
should say,
come
with
in,
the new
come in.
guest.
Who's this?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Evil Tane.
And what's that voice?
This voice is just
Where
a
are
little
you
something
from?
I'm trying out.
Yeah, where are you
Well,
from?
I think
from, Tane?
I think it'll be a little bit of a fun game if we try and do a game and
Are you
spot
from-
the accent.
Are you from? And please correct me if I'm wrong. I'd hate to be wrong. You from Brooklyn?
I am from Brooklyn.
Oh, look at that.
How'd
I
you-
thought
how-
that was a very clear,
how'd you figure that out?
Impressive,
very
Evil
clear
Sam.
Brooklyn accent.
But there's a little bit of something else in there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of something else. Like you got that really strong Brooklyn
Did
accent.
you spend a bit of time? And correct me if I'm wrong. But did you spend a bit of time in Italy?
You've blown me away, Sam. I genuinely don't know how you've done it,
Hey,
but
hey, buddy. Call me Dynamite. The way I just blew you away.
okay, Dynamite. I don't know how you've done it,
Sorry,
Dynamite.
my name is actually. I don't want to cause any confusion. My name is Evil Sam.
Oh, so you don't want to be called Dynamite?
No. Let's. Okay.
Okay.
So you're Evil Tane. I've met Tane a few times. Can we run you through a couple questions and we'll ask you to answer it, and we'll talk about why we think that may be different to regular Tane. I think
Far
regular.
away, Dynamite.
Sorry,
Evil Sam.
I actually think regular Tane is a bit of a derogatory term. I think we should just call him Good Tane and you're Evil Tane. Okay. I'll start with a question if you don't mind, Huey.
Yeah, go for it.
What are your thoughts on monogamy?
Monogamy is a really interesting word because I don't think we have it where I come from. What does monogamy mean?
Like just having one partner in a relationship.
Oh,
Because Tane hates that.
does he now? I had no idea.
Tane's fully against it. And he's made that very clear
Wait, I'm,
many times.
I'm against monogamy, or I just.
No,
I'm asking you.
are.
No, regular Tane. Sorry. Regular Tane is against being in a relationship with only one person.
So is that like he He wants to be in a relationship with more than one person or no people?
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
More
not that
than
he wants to
one.
be. He is.
He's in a relationship with more than one person.
Yeah, at least 4.
At least 4.
At least 4. They're all very kind women as well. I don't know. I'm not too sure about anything else to do.
They
with
must
him.
be related to you then.
Why?
You seem a very kind man.
I am a very. Well, look, I'm
But,
evil
but
Sam.
the thing is, he said his name's Evil Sam, and I just don't know how to feel about it.
I'm look. Okay, evil is an adjective.
Evil is an adjective. You're absolutely right. Like, my English might not be the best, but I just
Oh,
don't, I
are
just
you
don't think you
sure?
need to insult
Are
me
you
like
sure? Because
that.
you're from England. You're from Brooklyn.
Look, I'm not from England,
I mean,
mate. I'm
sorry.
from Brooklyn.
Do you mind if I just say I misspoke there?
Yeah, you fucking misspoke.
Sorry,
didn't
I'd like to bring down the tension and
Yeah.
change the topic. So, Evil Tane, if you may, what is your opinion on tea?
Oh, I love tea, don't I? It's just like there's a group of people that are really, really close to me, and like geographically close to where I come from, and they love tea, and it really seeps off on me. I don't know if you can guess it, but
Yeah. What?
Geographically
have you not
close to
listened?
Brooklyn.
Have you not listened to a f***ing word I said?
I'm so sorry. I blinked out for a second there. I was just thinking of all the evil things I love, like rainbows and
Rainbows
unicorns.
are pretty evil.
Yeah.
You know what they've got with rainbows? You know what's directly associated with rainbows and pots of gold?
Probably the Beatles.
Yeah, I was going to say money, but that's fine too.
Leprechauns. Yeah.
What's a leprechaun?
Well, I'm going to turn to Huon for this one.
Okay.
Because Huon has.
Me-
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Is that on purpose? Are you turning to me on purpose?
I just thought you hadn't spoken for a while. Huon, for
You
everyone
just
who
happened to
doesn't know,
bring it up as soon as we moved to leprechauns.
Huon's
do look
a
like
bit shorter, and he has
leprechaun.
he has red
Say
hair.
what
I'm
now?
so sorry.
I don't know what a leprechaun is, but I think you look a bit like a
No,
leprechaun.
I did not mean to.
No, you can't just turn
don't
to
go.
the only red-headed person in this group.
I'm so
and talk
sorry.
About leprechauns
I
and point
think-
to them.
Look, I think it was rather funny.
No, it's not funny.
Well, it was
We've
funny.
been put down for centuries, and this is how you treat. No, I can't
This is
do
no.
this.
I'm
The
so
leprechaun's
I
sorry.
need to go
leaving.
join Sam and Tane.
Look at
Okay.
his
I
little,
can't do this.
look at his little legs.
I'm going to go check on him for a second as well.
He's just running away in his little legs, and Evil Sam is going after him. I don't know what I'm gonna do in the podcast on my own. I'm gonna have to try and keep up with his little legs if I wanna. And there's a little knock on the door. It's a wee knock. Oh, come in. Okay, so we have 2 new people to replace the
Hello? Hello.
hello.
Hi, I'm Evil Huon.
Okay, so it looks like we've got Evil Huon on here. I don't know if he's related
I
to
don't know
Evil
where
Sam,
Evil
but
Sam went, but I'm Evil Huon.
look, Evil Huon, how you doing, Evil Huon?
I'm honestly feeling pretty evil.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that, Evil Huon. And
Hello.
your friend, is he a friend?
Yeah,
Hey,
well, we
the
met
friend-
backstage.
You met backstage.
I've actually just come back. It's still me, Huon. I just needed to.
Oh,
just need to cool
fantastic.
off. You just need
I
to
just needed
cool
to
off.
cool off. I
The
blew off.
leprechaun needed a shower.
I'm gonna actually have to take another break. I'll be right back.
I hope he's going for a shower.
Okay.
What?
Okay, do you mind if I, look, I'm Evil Huon. I'm going to tell you all the evil things I believe in.
Absolutely, and I know regular Huon.
I believe in fascism. Oh, there's someone at the door.
Hello,
Hello, who are you?
and who is our latest guest on the podcast?
Oh, hey, I'm the middle 3 seconds of the intro. My Uber got delayed, so I thought I'd come back in for a minute.
Middle 3 seconds of the intro. Now, I haven't heard the intro as someone who came in halfway
Look,
through.
as Evil Huon, I hate music.
That's completely fair.
It does sound like
Evil Huon. Because normal Huon loves, like early 2010s pop hits that you'd play at like a disco or something.
Like a throwback party.
As the middle 3 seconds of the intro, that's pretty boring.
That is pretty boring. Look, as Evil Huon, I'm going to have to say that's the one thing I hate about him the most. The second thing I hate about him the most, he doesn't like fascism.
What do you think about that? Are you the middle 3 seconds?
The
of
middle
you're the,
3
You're the middle
seconds.
3 seconds of the podcast. And how do you feel about fascism? Middle 3 seconds of the podcast, because I know, it's really hard when there's the first world, the second world, the third world, and you know what they grouped the second world with?
What?
Communism.
Okay, I've never heard of that before.
Neither have I.
You know, I have heard of it, and just got to say, it's not my cup of tea.
Well, it wouldn't.
Oh, I just realized what you guys are talking about. That is one of my favorite shows. One of my favorite sitcoms is it's got Joel McHale in it, doesn't it?
I really think we should be starting to wrap it up now
So
before
you
we get into
Okay.
thought the political ideology was the sitcom?
Yeah, the sitcom. Firstly, I thought that communism was the sitcom community.
I think this podcast has gone off the rails. I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah, let's
I'm
get
being
up. Let's
honest.
get Sam, Tane, and Hyun back
None
in
of
here.
us are the original.
Look,
anymore.
let's try and get them back in here.
Let's try and get them back
Maybe
in here.
we can get the leprechaun with his little
we'll,
legs.
We'll be back in a sec, boys.
I'm gonna go find the leprechaun.
Hello, I'm Tane.
Hello, I am Sam.
And I am the first 3 seconds of the second time that intro had played.